you. So good afternoon, everybody. It's a pleasure that you are here again. Today I see not a lot of faces as usual, so I hope everybody is listening over YouTube. And for girls which are preparing the tests, it means today's test will be like 1 times harder, because we have to check if everybody is listening, so. So I suggest next time you might come on site and maybe the test then will be easier, but never mind. Okay, now we have a set of open sessions which will focus on products. On products we have in Product Hub. So it should be an easy one for you, because you will just see an overview and a gallery of everything we are developing in a Product Hub, or which we've already harvested from our projects or previous products into the Product Hub. And it's very important not to remember everything, but to see the whole scope, and to understand that if you are designing some application, some solution, it doesn't matter if it's a product or project or a customer, we usually now have a huge foundation of components. So probably if you need some component, it's already there. Yeah. So first try to search it by yourself. You have extensive documentation, we have courses and everything, so you should be probably able to find the component by yourself. If you don't find the component, consult our evangelist team. They will help you and they will find a proper one for you. And if, and it's possible it happens, such a component doesn't exist already in the catalog, we might even discuss that you will develop something like it in your project, and that Product Hub will give you some budget on finalizing such a component as a common one, and to harvest it among the other components we are offering to all of us in Product Hub. So please always consult this and understand that it's very important to achieve reusability at the level at least 50%. Even a higher ratio would be much better, because it's very, very inefficient to develop things again and again and again without without any higher management. So now we have like 3 open sessions, am I right, which will be focused on the products. And today there will be framework. And when last time I tried to explain all the products in framework, it took me like 2 hours. I finished like 60%, and I spent about like 3 or 5 sentences on each product. So it will be really a fly through a lot of teams. Hopefully it will be interesting. We will see some demos, and we will have three speakers today. Pavel Valenta, which is responsible for the whole framework as a hub manager, and especially responsible for app server products. Ondra Čapek, which is responsible for human interface products, and Honza Šibyl, which is responsible for uCloud. So some products which will be shown today were touched in the previous open sessions, or maybe not touched, explained deeply, so we will skip them, because it doesn't make sense to explain today app server too much, because we had a separate open session which will focus just on app server. But the others are special libraries which are extending the basic architecture and which are giving you a lot of features which you can use out of the box, will be, I think, shown in more detail. So enough of me, and let's start with application framework.
Hello, I'm Pavel Valenta, as David introduced me. Thank you, by the way, for the introduction. And I want to first talk about the uuApp Framework Hub, which this open session is dedicated to. First, let me start with reading the description, which is above there, because I think you already heard it, but I think it's important to read it and to see it again. So, the uuApp Framework, which we also may call the Unicom Framework or just the framework, is a set of libraries, tools, and procedures that implement the architecture. The framework contains an ever-growing repository of fully compatible, reusable components, combined with highly efficient tooling. Our respective guidelines and development process that altogether give you the ability to create and run applications fastly and without compromising the quality and long-term maintainability. So I think this is very important, and you should remember that, because that's what we do here. And as David said, the goal of this open session is to give you an overview of the product that uuApp Framework App offers, and specify some key products, components, and services. We will not go into detail of these products, but I can tell you where you can find more detailed info if you are interested. So let's start with the architecture. I'm sure you have already seen this picture. It has been explained in previous open sessions. But what I want to point out here is the 5 key priorities: the human interface, interface of things, application server, UU cloud, and business territory and my territory. Because these 5 priorities pretty much correspond to the product families we have in the uuApp Framework App, and we will talk about them further. Scroll down. Okay, first some boring organizational stuff. The uuApp Framework App is one of the hubs in Product Hub, along with process, productivity, and so on. The process hub and productivity hub will be in the next open session, so you can look forward to them. And the people responsible for the hub, I'm the hub manager, as David already said. The hub is supervised by Happy, and in board members are Vladimir, David, some head of technologies, and other managers.
And you should mention Petr Cichoň-SK.
Yes.
Because he is head of technology of the whole product hub, but he's specially focused on the architecture and on the framework hub, of course.
Right. So about the families, I can show you there with the family managers, which they are and who are they responsible for. The UI family is Ondra Čepek, ServerKit family is me, Pavel Valenta, UCode family Honza Šibil, core services, again me. IoT family is managed by Marek Beránek, and we also have a family for some core examples which help us to demonstrate our patterns and test our application, and Radek is responsible for that. And also there is one family which is named the same as the hub, is the uuApp Framework family, and Skandova is the manager of this family. Now, there are also some other people, the key people responsible for the framework, but I don't want to show you this picture so you know the people and talk to them with your problems and contact them directly. This is just for illustration. The people you should contact, who should be your first line of contact when you have some problems with your UApps or development or patterns or anything with UApp development process, are the evangelists. Chief evangelist is Radek Dolejš, sitting here, and he also has some guys and girls helping him. So forget about the guys above, focus on these when you need to solve something with someone. Okay, let me scroll down. I made a list of some key features of the Unicom application framework. There is a lot more, but it's a full stack framework ready to solve all your problems and needs of applications. It's responsive, we have a lot of components. Our major desktop and mobile browsers are supported. We are multi-tenant by default. We are API oriented, and we use microservice architecture. Cloud native, audit login, it's a lot of things there. We'll go into this further. And some boring statistics, we have 7 families, over 70 products, and over 2 million lines of code in Git within our hub. And one thing that should be very important for you, where to find information about uuApp framework products. Well, not just framework products, but all products. It's unicorn.com/products, and it's a web where you can find a list of every product there is in the product hub, and there you can get on their websites and follow them to documentation or ask for help or provide ideas in first-line support. So that should be your portal when you want to find some information about products. And another thing is a knowledge base, which we'll talk about in a moment. It's not just a portal, but there are patterns and information, how to use the framework, what it is, a list of open sessions, and so on. Much information managed by Evangelist, and these two sites should be your primary source of information. Okay, so let's start with individual families. The UApp framework family. The goal of this family is to get together the methodology, the key ideas, and the patterns, and training, and support, and everything we need for UApps. It's the basic family where we collect all this information and manage them. Right, can you scroll down to the products? This family has just 3 products. First is UApp, which, as I just said, are the ideas, and so on and so on. And I think I said previously that all the families are in the architecture picture as the 5 priorities. Well, this family isn't there as a priority, but this family is the whole picture. This family takes care of implementing the UApp architecture and providing the correct methodology for doing that. So the first is UApp. Next, it's knowledge base. As I said, it's not just a portal. It's a documentation, list of all important framework books, templates, guidelines, patterns, checklist for certifications, list of open sessions. And interesting thing, UApps to try. You can try some UApps like Bookit, WebKit for yourself. You don't have to order them, you can try them using knowledge base. And the team of evangelists also create a periodic knowledge base news, which is a newsletter where you can see information and news about your products. And the third product is the graphic design system. I won't go into this because Bobesh talked about it in the last open session, so you can just read the description and watch the last open session if you weren't there to find out more. Now, the next family, the server kit family. The goal of this family is to solve the effective realization of application or services. And those applications or services must be able to handle millions of use cases and billions of objects in databases, and persistently save billions of objects. All this while working in UU cloud environment, which means they are basically available from everywhere and with a focus on security. The key product of this family is the UApp server, which you'll get into right now if you scroll down. Okay, the UApp server, it's the key product of this family. It's first, it's a definition on how to write application servers for UApps and how these servers process the incoming requests from executing business logic, providing API, executing business logics, and saving data to persistent databases. What's important here that it's not just one product, it's a couple of them. The UApp server without any postfix, it's a technology-independent set of ideas, concepts, instruction, and design that can be used for specific implementation of the application server. We have a couple of these implementations. The first and the primary one is in Node.js, but we also have one in Java and .NET. We also previously had one in Ruby, which is being discontinued right now. We moved to Node.js as our primary technology. Does someone know why we use Node.js? Can anyone tip why we use it? Oh, maybe it will be clear later, but Node.js means it's in JavaScript, and frontend, as Onya will tell you later, is written in HTML5 using React, which is also in JavaScript. So the key point why we use Node.js is that the server and the client can be written in the same technology, which makes it easier for developers to switch between front-end and back-end implementation. Now, there are a lot of components in the application server. I would just like to mention a few of them. The app server core handles the basic stuff that every application server should do, from mapping the incoming requests, providing command environments, authorization, authentication, validation, and so on and so on. The basic stuff. Then another important module is the UApp workspace, which provides multi-tenancy. Multi-tenancy is enabled and supported by default in application server. I think I can give you an example. This page is in Bookit. You should all be familiar with Bookit. You know what it is. It's an application where you can write books, manage your pages, manage access rights to your books, and so on. I think we have over hundreds of books, maybe even more. Maybe we are getting into thousands. And each of these books acts as if it was its own application. It has isolated data. You can set access rights on it. But that doesn't mean that each of these books needs to have a server running under it. I think for these hundreds of books, we can have just one server, so we can save resources. But using the uuApp workspace, the multi-tenancy concept, we can have a lot of books which are managed individually, and they act as if they were their own applications running separately. Now, another important module is the Runtime Stack, which provides the environment for running the application server, standardized environment that we can just take and use for running the server in the cloud. Other components are audit log, which is very important in application server. This component is enabled and included by default and allows us to create audit logs to log each incoming command with optional specification of detail in attributes for these commands and even explicit logging. So by default, every application creates audit log records. What is also important are the data stores. We support object store for storing structured data, binary store for storing binary data, and relation store where the object and binary databases are not enough and you need to use relation databases. We also have a solution for that. Next are message broker for supporting messaging between applications, DevKit, which is amazing with the toolset that allows us to create applications and manage the development. We'll get into this further. And telemetry for logging what users do in front end. We also have a lot of additional modules. If you are interested and want to know more about application server, which you should be, then use the unicorn.com/projects. There you can find application server, link to documentation, and read more about it. Okay, scroll down please. Key concepts. Okay, data stores. I talked about them previously. We have object store for storing structured objects, which we call uuObjects, and we have binary store, which allows us to store binary store data. Now, the binary store, we have two generations. So the second one is at the moment in development, because the first one is realized as a MongoDB database, which allows us to store the data in Mongo the same way as the object store. But we are just working on a second generation, which will be a UU service that will be connected to some cloud binary data storage, which we will use Azure Blob Storage. And what this will bring, it will be cheaper than the first generation, so you can look forward to that. It will be ready soon. Now, the DevKit, I want to talk about DevKit more because it's a very nice project. I think I like it the most from the projects I manage. As I said, it's an amazing little toolset for supporting development of UU apps. With DevKit, you can just create your own UU project in a couple of minutes. It doesn't take long. You can just set up your environment, run one command in terminal, and you can have your own UU app. You could try it for yourself. There is linked a step-by-step guide to UU app development in Node.js, which will walk you through the process on how this works. And well, everyone, UU app stakeholders, architects, developers, designers, I would say even salesmen, everyone will be able to create their own UU app using this simple guide. The DevKit provides also a lot more. You can use it to easily create commands to your applications, components. You can use it to build your application, run it locally, run tests. even deploy it into UU Cloud with one click. Okay, we can go to the next product. It's telemetry. Why we need telemetry? We want to know what users do in our applications in front-end. What are the scenarios they go through if we lose them on some pages, or if they go from one page to another, and so on. There are a lot of scenarios, and Application Framework has a solution for this. We can collect the data on front-end, and we can store them using the telemetry library in the application server, and we can go through the recorded events. The message broker, I already talked about it. It's a library that provides an interface for messaging. We can create queues and topics. Applications can subscribe to them or send messages and exchange them between uuApps. Now, another product, the async job. This is a quite important product, because you should know that in our applications we create UU commands, right? And these commands can be separated into two categories: synchronous commands and asynchronous commands. It's very important to distinguish between those two and to use synchronous commands and asynchronous commands for the right things, for the right purposes. Because synchronous commands should be fast, should have a simple logic, and should provide results immediately. While asynchronous commands can have more complex logic, we can schedule them, and we don't have to wait for the immediate result. The async job service allows us to create these commands, and well, it provides invocation service for these asynchronous commands. It provides scheduling service, and it handles concurrency, and it allows us to create some specialized queues and dedicate jobs directly into them. Right. What is also important if we create synchronous and asynchronous commands is that when we have one server that's run the synchronous commands, and we task this server with running some asynchronous commands. That will work, but it's not the ideal solutions, because the execution of these asynchronous commands will affect the performance of the application server. So we have a solution for that as well. We can create separate performing parts which are specialized just for these asynchronous commands. So the synchronous logic, the quick, the one when we need a fast response, is separated for the long running tasks. Can scroll down. Now, the Log Store. I said earlier that the application server by default creates audit log records. Right? These records are stored within the given uuApp instance where it was originated. But if we want to work with these records or archive them or set some data retention policy or use them as a source for statistics, then we should move them to another place from the uuApp instance where they originated. Because every operation with the audit log records that are within the application instance could hinder its performance. So we created a product that is called Yukon Log Store, and this product is designed specifically for storing audit log records, or well, any log records, audit log records at the moment. And we modified the audit log library that is used within the application server to be able to automatically send the log records to this App Log Store. We have a couple of usages for the audit log records. We can look at them as from the asset level, where we want to store the audit log records for the whole UApp instance, for, I don't know, generating statistics or which commands are used the most, and so on and so on. Or just aggregate the audit log records from multiple applications. And we also have a use for this, where we want to look at records from specific audits. Now, I may have 5 books in UU Bookit, and I want to look at audit records from these 5 books. I can configure the audit logs to send records just from these 5 books I own to my instance of App Log Store and just work with the records there. So that's the reason why we have this product. Now can we scroll down? And one more product I want to talk about is Script Engine. Well, it's kind of a family of products because we have Script Engine, Script Console, and Script Repository. And why do we have it? We have some tasks that are repetitive, and we could use some automation, or we want to customize some applications to do the things we need them without creating new versions of the applications. For example, I think Luboš talked about business territory in last open session. And in business territory, you can create units, you can create folders, you can create rows. Right? That's great, but what if you want to create a unit for your product or organizational unit for your company? You would have to go into the business territory and click one after another, or you can just write a simple script which will call the commands of business territory and do all these tasks for you. So that's one possible usage for the script engine. Another possible usage of script engine is in a product that will be introduced in the next open session. I can just do a quick introduction so we have something to look forward to. It's the booking engine. The booking engine is a simple product that can serve as a universal booking engine for anything. But if you want to use this booking engine for your business, may it be booking cars, booking rooms somewhere, or I don't know, anything, then you can just take this product, take this universal booking engine, and using script engine which is integrated into it, and using your own scripts, you can customize it to your needs. Now, and what do we need for running scripts? First, we need a script, which is just a piece of code in JavaScript. This script may be developed using the UU script dev kit, which has a similar functionality to the uuApp dev kit, but it's specialized on scripts. With this, we can create the script. It can help you test it or create demo content or create an app box from it or upload it to some script repository where it will be stored and available for use. And when we have the script, we can just run it. The script engine provides interface for running script, where we can pass the script we created. The script engine will execute it and write the results to some console, which we can show you right now. Right? The script could look like this. It's just a simple JavaScript which uses some functions that are defined by the script engine and generated by the script dev kit, so that will help you with the process of development. And if Radek takes the script, copies it, and we can try to run it. Run script. There are a couple of options. We can run the script with an URI that leads to script repository, or we can pass the script directly to this component. When Radek does this, and reloads the console, the script was processed by the script engine, and the results were written here. Something happening. The script had a couple of lines in it that written hello, whoever was signed in, so it was Radek. And here is also a demonstration that not only text can be written in the messages, it can be an UU5 string, which Andra will get into later, but it allows us to insert virtually any component, any UU5 component into the messages that are in the console. So those are the products from the server kit family. Again, as I said, if you want to know more about these products, because I realized this was a very quick overview, and well, there is a lot of information we have on those products. We have very extensive documentation, and you might have some ideas to improve the products. Please go to unicorn.com/products, find the documentation for these products, and read them. Okay. So, thank you for now. I will give the floor to Ondra Čapek, who will tell you more about the user interface family.
So hello. So I'm responsible for user interface family, and what's this family about? This family cares about a lot of libraries and components. And these components are responsive, and it's easy to use them in your apps for faster implementation. So my team contains product manager Jan Papil, who cares about almost a lot of libraries, almost all of libraries. Technology architect Milan Šatka, who can solve whatever issue on the front end. And our newest member is Jakub Šírek, who help us with designs and with some server-side products. So the first product, which is the most important, is UU5. This product is not just a library, because this product tell you or give you documentation for concepts, or with concepts, and with other guidelines for creating user interface or for creating client side of application. And this library has a lot of components. The base components is in bricks, because this component is very small, and it's just simply bricks which you can use in your applications. Next module is forms, various inputs and form for building and getting information or data from users. Block layout is next module, which help you with layout of tiles, or with layout of boxes. And newest is that we support hooks. So hooks also is also in U5. Next product is Plus4U. Plus4U contains two modules: app, which cares about layout of all UU apps, and bricks, which integrate Plus4U authentication. So there is components which automatically use Plus4U authentication and help you with Plus4U login and care about login and logout. Next library is imaging. In imaging, we have a lot of components for working with images. The first component is image, where you can set some properties as sepia, and there is a lot of features how to view image. Radek, can you hover on the image, please? For example, like this. Next component is thumbnails, which is set of images. We have also component input for uploading image. So if you upload image, you can see that image is shown to you, and it's better than a file input. Next component is image row and image column, which show you images in row and in column, and thumbnail generator, which you can use for creating some shortcuts or some thumbnails. You can get cut some part of the photo or from the image. So next product is CodeKit. This library contains a lot of editors. There is editor for whatever codes, whatever source code. You can give there, for example, or you can edit there Java or PHP code or JavaScript also too. And so it's for every source code. Next component is JSON editor, which is just for JSON. Lift it up. Yeah, here. We have also U5 string editor, where you can edit just U5 string, or Markdown editor, where you can edit Markdown syntax. And we have also Markdown viewer, where you can see what you write in Markdown editor. You can see translate it in U5 string, and you will see the result in the Markdown viewer. Next product is also about editor. It's U5 rich text. The main component in U5 rich text is editor, where you can edit simple text with maybe some unordered list or ordered list, and you can style your text by underline, for example, or bold. This editor is editing mode of the component block. So if you use block, you can edit it and write there whatever. And after editation, if you close the editation, you will see U5 string, or you will see the result in your book, for example. If your application needs a lot of editors, rich text editors, you can use editor context, and you can wrap all editors by the editor context. And in some place in your application, you can add toolbar. So you can have just one toolbar for a lot of editors. And if you click to some editor, you will see that in the toolbar will be buttons for editing the text from your focused editor. So it's not necessary use editor with toolbars together more times. And the last component is expandable editor, which is one row input. And if you want to edit this line or this text, you can show it in modal and edit it in the modal. And U5 tiles, it's next library where help you with big data. So you can filter and sort or choose some tile in this example, and or you can search in the data and show just filtered or searched data. This tile list has virtual rendering, so it means that just a part of the data are available on the screen, and another data is hidden for now and will be shown after scrolling. So next component or next product is U5 data table, which is similar is U5 tiles, but here is the main component or view component is here data table, not tiles or not tile list, but bars for filters or sorters is almost the same. So you can do same operation as in U5 tiles. Next product, plus 5 files. This product is for filtering, searching, and working with binary data. And you can see this component in Bookit, in File Manager. So it's almost the same as U5 tiles, but it's working with binary data. And this product will be replaced by binary content in the future. Product U5.3 or library U5.3 contains just one component, which is sortable tree, where you can show data in the tree. You can order data by drag and drop, and you can search in the tree, or you can edit the items. But it's not in this example. So next library is U5 chart. This library contains two modules. One module is U5 chart and second is U5 simple chart. So if you don't like implementing, so you can use just U5 simple chart, which has a few properties, and you can prepare, for example, line chart, bar chart with small data, with small settings. Or if you are advanced developer, for example, or you are exciting developer, you can use U5 chart, where you can create your own component with some small basic components, which you can build your big chart. So here we have a chart, for example, area chart, pie chart, line chart, scatter chart, radial chart, radial bar chart, and tree map. And there is some problem with displaying it. So U5 maps. This library contains 3 components. One component is world, where you can see the whole world. You can show borders of the states or countries, or borders of regions. You can add color for each country or for each region. And next component is continent, where we have all continents. So this demo is for Europe, and settings is similar as in world. You can set border of countries, you can set border of regions, and you can set capital cities too. In component country there is the same properties, so you can change your colors too for each region, for example here. So next library is U5 animation. This library cares about animations and displaying animations in different browsers. So if you use animated video, you can use this component with format of video WebM or MP4, and depends on the format of the video the component is displaying. And SVG animation working with JSON, so data or whole animation is defined only by JSON structure with data. It's big JSON, but it's smaller than whole video. and this component can run this JSON as animation, as image or video. It's provided by SVG in the browser. U5 calendar is component which you can see in my territory, for example, in new my territory, or U5 calendar scheduler you can see in meeting rooms. If you do some reservation. U5 Met is library for creating or showing some mathematical expression such as a quotation, fraction, integrals, metrics, and there you have to know how to write the expression because there is a specific syntax which you have to know to write this expression to show the component. Content key is library for components which you can use them in a lot of applications, for example in WebKit or BookKit or DocKit, and you have just one component, and this component depends on the context of the application. So if you put component to WebKit, there the component from content kit takes context of the WebKit and, for example, load binary from WebKit. If you take this same component to BookKit, there this component takes binary from BookKit. Yeah. And all these components have editation mode, so you can use it in U5 string without problem.
Actually, this is a bit marketing for the future version of the library, because it doesn't work the way at the moment as Onya described. Because, for example, if you try to add some image gallery to BookKit, it's for common user it's not possible. Simply there's no component which will allow to do it user friendly. If you try it in WebKit, the component is there, but it's a special WebKit component, and in DocKit there's no such thing. So the intention is that for common things like text formatting, image formatting, video, audio, different block layouts, etc., there should be a common set of components which is shared across all applications that are using component content, and those components will be probably modules in Content Kit. But we will release this very soon, and it's quite an important upgrade for many applications we are using at the moment.
U5 charts is a library which use extended library charts. There are a lot of charts and maps which you can use, and U5 param query is also just a wrapper for external library param query, where you can show your big data in data table, which a lot of functions, a lot of operations. And mobile app is just a wrapper for all apps. And when you would like to publish your app to App Store or Google Play, you have to wrap your app by your mobile app, and after it you can publish it. So it's all from me, and now
I have just small interruption. You should stay a little bit with you. I will. He wants me to show you.
Maybe wait for Onya will finish his section and we will show this.
He did.
Yeah, you already did. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
But he didn't finish because he had to show one important thing. Go to unicom.com/products. and
Yeah,
show
it's
the
in
show
core
the stats.
services.
Show the stats.
It's in the core services.
I know it is, but it's too late, because this is an important feature. Open, for example, U5 library.
U5 library, yeah.
Open the web and show the usage statistics. We will talk later about the component, but we need to show our colleagues how popular the library is. So there's a new component for any front-end library which is available on its website, which shows the usage of the library online. So, for example, in the last hour, you can see that the U5 was used more than 1,000 times. Maybe show the whole day. Yeah. So you can see that any day, except weekends, it's something around 20,000 to 30,000 starts of the library. If you show the whole month, you can see that we attack 500,000 of usages of U5 library. So you can basically find the statistics for any front-end library. And again, this is a set of components which is available in the architecture. So there's a component which gathers the data about the library usage. There's another component which gives you the ability to display it anywhere, for example on the web, but you can put it in Docker or you can incorporate this component into your application. And basically for any library you upload to our U5 library registry, immediately after you have the stats about the usage. Another example of how the architecture works and how useful it could be. So basically, if you go to that, even minor libraries are used quite often, like tens of usages per day. Even the maths, because Unicom College is using it a lot. And for example, our energy projects are using this component because for some algorithms there are some equations because they want to display, and they use this component to display those equations. So you would be surprised how many times this library is downloaded and started within some browser. And we are going to add more libraries. For example, Onja didn't mention because it's just in the initial phase that we are preparing library for such a niche thing like displaying music notations, like really notes for piano and guitar and everything. And because we have some cases where we want to show it, and it's a good demonstration for if you want to show the ability of our applications to non-IT users, for example. And there will be many more libraries we are adding and we are maintaining, so probably you should use any component you need for your application. And if you don't, suggest one, and we will include it. And we will enable it with all the functions like dynamic loading, etc. So if you just find a component on the internet, it's usable for developers. If you prepare the component as a U5 library, it's immediately usable for any user of any applications we are providing. So it's completely different level of quality and usability.
Yeah, okay. I have one more example of using the script engine. I believe so. Yeah. Here is this is the documentation on this.
Maybe I will comment on this.
Okay.
Because this is, when you are composing your solutions from the components, you have to be creative and think, about how this component could solve your problem, maybe in the way you didn't imagine before. For example, this is a book of algorithms which is taught on Unicom College. By the way, not on Unicom College, but in Top Gun as well. So all of you which are doing some IT work in Unicom will know this subject and will understand it and will pass the test from it. When I first saw it, it was, nice surprise for me because it looked like on MathFiz in the first semester, with the only exception we didn't have any study materials. So some assistant, like teaching assistant, was writing this on the blackboard, And then we went to the exam, and we had a computer we never seen before, and 15 minutes to implement such an algorithm. And there are just two options: you implement it and you passed with one, or you failed. Yeah. So I think our students have much better materials, and this is one of them. Unfortunately, it's in Czech at the moment, but soon it will be translated to English, and it will be primarily taught in English. So there are different sort algorithms explained, and if you go down, there's not just the description of the algorithm, but there's an even exact description using the algorithm component. If you go down there, over here, so it's described as an algorithm. This is very precise description of how the algorithm works. And it was very easy for the teacher to prepare this because the algorithm component is there, many other components which we use there is there. He didn't have to develop a special applications to teach algorithms. He just took bookit and special components which were ready for this. But it's not enough. If you go further, you can see the implementation of the algorithm. By the way, this is another special component which is provided with one of the libraries. And if you go up please and show this. If you keep our coding style, which is prescribed by the architecture, you can do such a thing like that. You can look at the input data of it. You can look at the errors defined for the script, etc. And it's just another view of the same source code. So even keep conventions which are defined is very important, because then you can do such a thing which is very nice for the end users, and it costs you nothing to do this. No development again. Go there, go, and well, we have a script console and script engine, so of course we can run it. So try to run it. Yeah. The algorithm is predefined. There's another component. Radek showed you one way how to run a script. I would say the system way, where you can describe the script URI and or the script body, etc. This is a component which runs script which is already uploaded on the server, and you can put that just input data here, and if you run it, there's a related console down there. Open it, and you will see the result. This one is mine. And in a few moments we should see your result over here. Maybe reload it. Okay, it's there, and show the result. And you can see it sorted here in a very nice way, displayed as a U5 string. So we prepared basically an application which demonstrates various ways how to create various algorithms of sorting, and it's live, you know. And we didn't develop a single line of code. We developed, of course, the script which demonstrates the sorting, but the rest is just structured from the components which are available in our framework. So this is reusability, and this is creativity, you know, because otherwise the only other solution is that you will take some components you download from the web and you start developing such an application from scratch or something. I haven't seen a university which has such a thing at the moment, and even students can try, and they can, you know, change. If we give them another components, they can try online in the page different styles, and they can try to tweak the algorithm and change it, and of course they can put their different input data, etc. So they have a very interactive material how to learn this, and this was just composed, it wasn't developed.
It's musician also.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right.
Okay. Quick sort too.
I will send you a link, and you can
No.
you can click a comment there and ask for it.
just one more detail. Unicom, not Unicom College, but Yukon University.
Yeah, of course. We are officially allowed to use this name, especially in international communication. But any communication is international, so we will simply call it Unicom University. In Czech it is Vysoká škola Unicom. Okay, next family.
Hello.
let's talk about uCloud now. My colleagues have been talking about lots of products we can use to create interesting applications which are smart, featureful, and look beautiful. And I was wondering, wouldn't it be a shame if these applications couldn't be actually used by anyone? I believe so. And this is where uCloud comes in. As one of the key parts of uuApp framework, uCloud defines a standard way of deploying applications and operating them. Because let's imagine it would be a huge waste of time and money and effort if every application team would need to be thinking about how to develop or how to deploy a particular application and think it over again and again and pick some technologies and do it their own way. So that's why we have uCloud. The last open session was dedicated to business territory and uCloud in particular. So you can watch that again if you haven't done so. Of course, after seeing this one, and you can hear more details about what uCloud offers, why or what are the benefits of having and using it, and more information. Let's take a look at the products. The key product in this family is uCloud C3. C3 being an acronym for Cloud Control Center, and it's the main application we all use to deploy uuApps. It hides the complexity of what needs to be prepared in the target environment where the applications are to be hosted, and we don't need to deal with all the infrastructure such as virtual servers, persistent storages, and all that stuff. And we can focus on just developing our applications and deploying them, either using uCloud C3 API directly, which is a kind of low-level approach, or we can use uuApp dev kit, Pablo was talking about, and deploy to uCloud using uuApp dev kit task, which is more convenient for day-to-day use. And this picture, the yellow icons show the basic products or uCloud resources we can use for the deployment and operation of uuApps. And where it's used, of course, it's running or hosting all the applications behind Plus4Unet internet service. And there are even some dedicated instances of uCloud. The largest one and the main one being dedicated for Libre application for Terra project, which one of the previous open sessions have been dedicated to. And there are more dedicated instances coming in the future. uCloud C3 itself uses another product, which is uCloud Operation Registry. This picture behind me is quite huge, and it shows the data model of this product, of its primary object store. And as you can see, it's pretty complex stuff, and we don't need to bother with all this because uCloud C3 takes care of handling all the information and the metadata about the whole cloud environment, from the infrastructure to the individual ready-to-be-used resources to all the sub instances deployed to uCloud. Next up, please. uCloud C3 I was talking about is not just capable of deploying applications, but also libraries based on EU5 framework. And uCloud CDN is the content delivery network managed directly by uCloud, which enables that the content of these libraries can be downloaded with low latency from the geographically nearest location to the web browsers. uGateway handles all incoming HTTP requests from the internet and routes them to a particular USApp instance or even a particular separate performing part, and is also capable of doing load balancing. That means it picks one of the EU nodes and hands over the HTTP request to process it. And uGateway is also the main and only entry point which is accessible from the internet, because the individual SOAP instances are hidden behind it and not directly accessible from the internet, which is better for their security. And also uCloud Gateway uses information or data which get automatically managed by uCloud C3 at deployment time. All the SOAP instances running in the cloud need to be taken care of, and UApp providers need to watch over them to see if they operate correctly or are there any operational issues, and they can use uCloud monitoring to watch the basic metrics such as CPU usage, RAM usage, and so on, and act accordingly. The following product is quite similar. You can scroll down. It's Yukon Log Store. The name is similar to uuApp Log Store, but uCloud Log Store deals with low-level system logs, which tell us what is going on inside the SOAP instances at runtime, and is crucial for troubleshooting operational issues, if the need be. And this product collects all log data from all the EU nodes running in uCloud, storing them in a log repository, and exposing an API that allows self-service retrieval of the log data for the providers primarily, and also developers for development instances. Let's scroll down. Base registry is currently in the development, which is soon to be released, and this application manages information about application vendors, the individual applications, sub-apps, and versions they have released, information about individual providers, and the instances they are providing, the related UApp workspaces, and information about the gateways the instances are available via. And the next, please. Another application or product which is currently in the development is domain management, which obviously focuses on automating management of domains, domain names, and also the related stuff such as TLS certificates and other information, and simplify the domain management as a whole. And then there are three products which are future products, which are planned. And the first of them being uCloud threat detection, which should enable detecting security threats based on based on the incoming requests and detect some malicious HTTP requests. And it should be capable of working in two modes. The first one is just watching or detecting the malicious requests and just observing them. And the second mode is about some active, proactive actions. If a malicious request gets detected, it gets just terminated and it's not processed. Then we are planning to work on a new generation of View Cloud, which has several goals, and we would like to focus on architecture, update the architecture of View Cloud itself, and use the latest UuuApp framework generation. Improve extensibility of UCloud capabilities in the field of, for example, infrastructure scalability, and improve also integration with third-party technologies and deployability of UCloud to customers' environments. And the last product is also a feature product, which is going to be a set of tools for managing and operating MongoDB clusters in UCloud. That's all for UCloud family. And
the good news for you, as you probably understood from the last open session, is that if you are running applications really in UCloud, the only product which is interesting for you from this is UCloud C3. Just the interface for deploying. The rest is the engine behind, which is prepared and which does all the magic of running the application in the UCloud, scaling, etc. Yeah. Okay.
Let's take a look at some core services.
Another family I want to talk about is the Unicom Framework core services family, because it's not just about application servers, cloud, components, backend or frontend. It's about some services that we want to offer as a part of your framework that handles some things that can be useful for your apps. Can you scroll down to the screen? Yes. Yes. We defined some services that we also created, and we offer them for use in UUApps. For example, if you created your UUApp and you wanted to have full text searching in it, right? What would it mean if there wasn't a service? You would have to implement it in your UUApp, and it would make it more costly, and it would be a lot of development and integration to some searching engine and so on. If we have a service for this, it's called full text search in our case, then this service takes care of all the implementation on how to store the index data, how to index, how to search, and you can work with it with standard command interface. So that's the point why we have services. We offer you some standard solutions that you can use in your apps, and you can work with them with standard command interface. Right. In this picture, we have some services that you can use. Some of them I already talked about in the server kit family. They are just for the context, but I will talk about the ones that I haven't mentioned before. Let's start at the top left. It's a duo: identity management and OIDC. Identity management you should all be familiar with, because you all have accounts in our system, you all have identities in our system in Plus4U, and you are logging into Plus4U. And the login screen, that's created by the identity management service. And in cooperation with UOIDC, which handles authentication, or for example, federation with Google accounts, Facebook accounts, Microsoft accounts for login using the OIDC protocol, that's handled by the OIDC service. and the identity management handles the management of identities. This product is important because in your apps that you create, that you design, and that you want to use, you need some identity management. You need users, you need to manage them, you need to authenticate them, and you don't have to solve this in your apps. Identity management, OIDC already takes care of this, and you have identity management by default in every app you create. Right. Another product, another service, UApp Log Store, I already talked about, but there was one comment from Vladimir I just read on YouTube that I feel I should mention. It is strictly prohibited to work with audit log records within USUBAP instances. Before you want to work with the audit log records, they need to be transferred to UApp Log Store, and there we can do with them whatever we want. Does anyone know why we can't work with the audit log records within the UApp, within the instances itself? Anyone ideas? No, so pay attention. I'm sure it will be in the test because it's really important. The UApp should be responsible for just creating the audit log records. But if you want to work with them, if you want to query them or count some statistics from it, it's an operation that could hinder the performance of given instance, and it should not be there. So we have the UApp Log Store. So if you want to work with audit log records, they need to be transferred there. Now, next is UApp registry. We have already seen the component with statistics from EU5. This component is a part of the app registry, but it's not the only functionality this service offers. First is the registry of all components and libraries that we use. Because if you create a EU5 component, you need to take the source code and upload it somewhere to CDN network, right? But if you want to use this component in your UApp, you don't want to know the address in the CDN network where the component is stored. You just want to use the name of this component. And the UApp registry provides interface between these two. It stores the name of the component, versions, and the resources where they are located. And you can use this to load the components. Another module is the statistics that we have shown before. It's important to know that EU5 collects usage statistics and stores them in the app registry, the application dedicated to stats. And they can be shown by the component. Now, async job script engine I already talked about. Let's move to the bottom line. Notification service. It's a nice way to think that allows us to use notifications when some actions happen in our UApps. For example, if you have my territory that I think Luboš presented in last open session, where you can have activities and you have your own digital workspace. With the notification service, we manage that when you get a new activity, a notification in your browser or in your mobile browser, there will be a new notification when you have a new activity. So that's one usage, but it's not limited to this. It's not limited to the digital workspace. You can use it anywhere in your UApps when you need it. The service is there. We offer it. Use it. Right. Full text search I already talked about. We provide a service that manages full text indexes, provides component for searching that you can integrate into your UApps, and with a little effort you can have full text searching support. PDF converter, it's a service that allows us to convert pages, any HTML5 service pages to PDFs. For example, if you wanted to print a book into PDF. The PDF converter service can render the pages in the book and print them to PDF file. This service and its integration to Bookit is still in development. It will be available, but if you now have a need to have your book in PDF, we have the ability to do so. Now, and another product, chatbot, we are starting to experimenting with chatbot. We might provide a service that allows us to create conversational service, conversational chatbots into the apps. And this product might come. Okay, so those were the services. Again, as I said, it's not just about the components, it's about the key services that we have to offer standard solutions that you can use and reuse within your apps. Okay. Oh, and I forgot to talk about UA pipeline. It's a service that is in development. It will be an important part of the framework because it will help us to automate the non-human parts of UA development. For example, the building, the deployment to cloud, and so on. Whatever that we need to get the UU apps into production. Okay. Now, we are nearing the end of the family presentations. The last is the core examples family, which Radek as the family manager and the only member of the family can tell you something about.
Well, cherries on the end. We have two examples applications, two examples product. One of them is jokes. People sometimes ask me why we have some simple demo, because it's just a database of jokes that you can share your joke and rate it, and some authority can check it if it's okay or not okay to publish it. So it's a really simple business, and that's what we want to. Any internet technology, any web technology has some simple demo. You can find any technology with complex demo. If you want to some complex example, look at the Libra, and you can see some more example. But with the framework, we need to simple example, and it's UJoke. UJoke, it's not only about that we have the technological demo, we also use it for some testing, integration. We are trying to new versions of Unicom, this UApp workspace, for example, of UApp server. If we develop the new version, we try it with this application first, and the integration. Integration with business territories also. We also trying to implement all patterns and all important standards into this application. So if you want to know how to implement some pattern, for example about the application logos or application discovery, you can look at the pattern and you can look at the implementation in this application. So this application should be some like shopping window, should be really nice and implemented well. The Goodimat is also example application. It's more complex than UJoke. You know, Goodimat, it's application when you can buy or Vladimir can buy the smoked knees and some gummy bears. And this application is still running. It's running from the beginning of application framework, and it's every day Radka is ordering via this IoT device. So this application is an example that contains also the IoT part from our architecture, the architecture.
No, this application is with us since the beginning of the architecture, and it's much more complex than it seems. So usually when you study this carefully, you will find out that all the patterns you need in your application, it was already implemented in Goodimat. So pay attention to it, because if it has a simple user interface, it doesn't mean that the application itself and the architecture behind it is so simple. Now, the best products look simple for the users, but there's quite a complex logic and complex implementation behind which allows this simplicity. And I think Goodimat is a good example. So I see this quite underestimated, and anybody who's developing apps should know well Goodimat and its architecture and its code. So Maybe we will make another open session in the future just for that, to remind you that everything which was invented in Budimat.
Yeah. Budimat it's really from the beginning, and it's still with us. It's going to be. So if you want to share some joke, you can go to /jokes, because we try to do alias for some application. So we try it on this application for jokes. If you want to share some joke, you can. You have to write to publish joke here, but don't be surprised, it's going to be deleted because we have script that is refreshing our joke. So don't be surprised. If you want really to keep the joke here, you should inform me that you want to. This is my favorite. It's about documentation, because we were talking about the documentation. So if you want to see some documentation of some product and you are not satisfied that it's not good enough, it's not clear enough, just remember that any documentation is better than no documentation. So that's all. We want to.
Okay, well, this was the Unicom Application Framework app. I will just remind you that the products you've seen here, that's not just the work of the guys which we are presenting, but it's a joint work of the whole company. Beginning of Vladimir, which is not just the manager and supervisor, but the key software and business architect. I'm trying to do the same. And for example, head of technologies from Unicom Systems are working in those roles of various products of application framework as well. They are part of the evangelist team, I would say, and part of the training team in Top Gun Academy explaining this. So those ideas which are implemented in the libraries are really very well proven. They are considered from many sides, and it's really a brilliant result of work of many smart people. So before you start to rethinking and redeveloping them, understand them, and usually you will find out that they are good. So that's it for today.
So questions? Do we have some questions from the public, or do we have some questions?
There are some comments from Vladimir.
Okay.
One is related to the documentation we're seeing right now, and Vladimir says, "It is really very good work. Look at the documentation. All important sentences are precisely written down to the book dictionary for the next word quote." He also said that Pavel is great. And that is useful to say that Node.js is very polite programming language. Also, when David was showing the script engine used in the study materials at Unicom University, Vladimir said that this is exactly the usability that is like huge advantage of framework. That's it.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you, Paul.
So I think we should give some applause to our presenters today. Thank you. See you next time.